Hello, hello, what is up? It's Corey, aka Blaster. Never done anything like this. I was inspired by Joe and Brian doing their live reaction. I sat in on the YouTube live stream. That was fun. And then immediately after that, saw Josh threw up his live react recording, and I was like, no one's watching the Silent Hill transmission. I'll just record my reactions to this. And if anybody wants to listen to it, they can. So right now, we're officially 5 minutes before festivities are supposed to kick off. The last one of these was about 45 minutes, and they talked about a lot of stuff. I think 45 minutes is a long time to do what they've said they're going to do today, which is give a look at Silent Hill 2, the remake, as well as the next movie, Return to Silent Hill, which is essentially a film adaptation of Silent Hill 2. Now, we did just get the official release date for Silent Hill 2. I'm actually surprised that we never found this out ahead of time. Normally these things have a way of leaking out there, especially because Konami isn't particularly great about keeping secrets. A lot of the stuff that's happened with this franchise in the last couple years has been known about for years in advance. People like, I think his name is Dusk Golem, talking about things that he's heard, and they pretty much all turned out to be true. They just, some of the things take longer to come to fruition than others. The short message is one, I haven't played it. I don't have a PS5 yet. I was actually just talking about maybe getting one this Christmas because Silent Hill 2 is looking dope. It's coming for the Halloween October season, but also we're getting Astrobot, so I think this Christmas might be a fun time to finally jump in. But so we know the release date. That's kind of the big thing that everybody wanted to find out with this, I think. So it's kind of cool that they got the big expectation out of the way, and now we can see something else. They do have that, I think it's still shelved. It was called Silent Hill Ascension, which was like a web browser game / phone game, and I'm using game very softly as a term here, air quotes galore. Like, I set in for a couple weeks. What it was doing is every day, or maybe it was every weekday, you would go and watch this like CG, poorly acted, poorly animated video of these people who most of the time were not in Silent Hill at all, and you would vote on what they would do, and they had lots of microtransactions, so you could paste emojis in the chat and really dumb shit like that. So I didn't stick around with that. I saw some screenshots of the hilarity, because when you open voting to the public, they're going to vote for the dumbest thing possible to happen, and boy, did they. So that was a total disaster. Now, aside from this Silent Hill Ascension, aside from the Silent Hill 2 remake that we know about, and aside from the movie Return to Silent Hill that is currently in production, we're supposed to see some info on that here. There is also Silent Hill Townfall, and that's by a developer. I forget the name of the developer, but they made the game Untold Stories, a little like horror adventure game, pretty novel, as I recall. I played that years ago, and it did stick with me. So I think Townfall is a game that has a lot of potential. If I'm not mistaken, they said that would be a like an episodic game. So I'm expecting something in the style of a Telltale game. Specifically when we think an adventure game and we think episodic, a lot of people's mind goes directly to that first season of The Walking Dead, for good reason, because it's damn good, right? So Silent Hill Townfall, we've seen nothing on this so far. I think a lot of fans are pretty interested. That's the one that I am most curious about of all the stuff that they've talked about. Ascension always looked like it was going to be bad. The very first trailer they showed for it, I was like, this doesn't look like Silent Hill, and it sure enough, it isn't. But then, in addition to these games, we also have Silent Hill F, with a lowercase f. It's not a big red fail. It's a small little red fail. I don't know. So Silent Hill F is the Japanese developed game. My understanding is it's the first one since Silent Hill 4, if you don't count PT, that came from Kojima in his studio. And Silent Hill F is a game that actually, we saw some CG footage of it, and it looks like it takes place in like ancient, maybe feudal Japan. So maybe this is like an origin story of sorts for the entire thing. Like maybe the origins of the cult or the energy that is in the American town actually started in Japan, and this is going to be, a look way back in the past. It does feel strange. I remember Silent Hill 4, large parts of that game didn't take place in the actual town of Silent Hill. That was the first time that was the case. Actually, no, I take that back. Silent Hill 3, the beginning of that game, you're Heather and you're just in a mall, but you're being drawn to the town, right? Same kind of with Silent Hill 4, you're in a neighboring town. And then after that, there's been games that do not take place entirely there, but you always kind of wind up there. This game's set in Japan. I'm not sure how they would achieve that. Unless, you wake up and it's a dream or something. I could totally see that. Okay. The transmission is started. We've got the producer for the Silent Hill series here talking to us. So that, just like I said, last time we introduced a number of titles. Today, for their second transmission, they're going to focus on Silent Hill 2. So maybe we're not going to find anything out about F or Townfall. It just mentioned, they showed a new trailer for Sony's interactive State of Play, and they're going to have even more gameplay to share with us. That's expected, but not unappreciated. I feel like Ben Horn saying that. Your work is valued and appreciated. All right. Now, I was following Joe and Brian in their YouTube live stream. They were reacting to the State of Play from Sony, the trailer for Silent Hill 2 specifically. They said that it looked better than the last time. I agree. It was definitely more evocative of the mood of a Silent Hill game, in this game in particular. But I commented that the facial animation on Angela looked pretty rough, looked pretty old school. I had seen some screenshots rolling around recently. There were some rumors that James's face had been redesigned and made to look closer to the original. And I'm not seeing that reflected here. This definitely looks like the model that they announced the remake with. Good looking water. Water is important to this game. I'm sure that this has been noticed and commented on before, but I guess I hadn't really thought about Guy Seehee is not doing the voice of James in this. Okay, so we got some gameplay here. He's walking down the road, east side of South Vale. Sorry, south side of East Vale? What did that say? One of those. Yeah, this is familiar. He's coming up on what looks like maybe some tar, some like black, very dark looking blood. And follow the blood trail through some backyards. The foliage coming off of these fences looks great here. Now I know that Akira Yamaoka is doing the music and audio for this game, just like he did in the original. And so I knew that a lot of the music was going to be reused in this game. If not re-recorded, then just straight up reused, which is fine because it was high quality when it was originally done. But I'm hearing some differences in the audio. There are certain like background tones that were not there in the original. And so I appreciate that. It's been a long time since the original came out. These guys are smart and clever. They can do some really cool stuff with sound effects. That's one of the best things about this entire franchise. Huh. Okay, so James found his radio in a different place. He did not go to where you would normally pick up the radio and then pick up your first weapon. Instead, he's inside the apartment building, which would normally come a little later. So they're definitely shifting up some things. It looks like we're probably going to have, I don't want to say more than or less than, but there's definitely that kind of Resident Evil remake influence where the gist of everything is there. Maybe some stuff is a little bit out of order. And I'm not a purist in the way that I think that something like that is heresy. You know, Silent Hill 2 is a masterpiece and probably the greatest horror game ever made, but it's not necessarily because of the delicate pacing or like order of events, you know. Different players are going to discover different things about the actual narrative in a different order, and sometimes you don't get a lot of those things the first time around, you know. It takes multiple playthroughs to pick up the different layers that are going on. Sometimes a lot of the clues that they give you about those layers of the realities within oh my god, I almost said within Twin Peaks, but within Silent Hill, they're invisible to you until you've seen the ending, and then you go back and you're kind of looking at it with a fresh lens, right? And I love media like that. And even when you do play it multiple times, not this, I mean, maybe they've done stuff to make it even more ambiguous, but in the PS2 version, you know, you could play that game multiple times, and not everything is going to be completely crystal clear. A lot of it is still going to be left up to the gamer's interpretation. You know, what do you think is reality? Is this actually happening, or is this inside your player character's head? Okay, we're seeing a little cutscene here of Lara being chased off, running into the school. She went into the hospital. That's where. Oh. Okay, so we see Maria here now following James around. It looks like her outfit has been redesigned. This character was very famously modeled after an outfit that Christina Aguilera wore to an MTV Music Awards, I believe it was. Maybe it was like a Nickelodeon or like a Teen Choice Awards or something like that. But she did look just like that from the neck down, like the spitting image. So there's a few changes to her outfit, which I don't think are going to be detrimental to the experience. Yeah, they're walking around picking up clues. It looks good. It looks like it looks like a freaking survival horror game. Yeah, it's amazing how much just the faint audio going on in the background here, where you can hear, it almost sounds like the occasional footstep on a different floor, but then also there is this like brooding one note, like a cello note that drones, and occasionally you hear what sounds like maybe wind going through pipes or going through the space between the ceiling and the drop ceiling above you. I love shit like that, man. It's so effective. Okay, we're getting some God rays in the hallway here. I'm getting real Jacob's Ladder vibes, which if they did look at Jacob's Ladder and just rip off elements of it, that would make sense, because I think that's what the original team did. Can't help but notice people in the chat room complaining about too much talking to himself. It's just a trope of modern games, man. Alright, now he's got a gun. You might see a little bit of gunplay here. That one trailer that they released a while back was nothing but gunplay, and it didn't look great. It kind of reminded me of Alone in the Dark, that recent remake of Alone in the Dark, which had a lot of like gun stuttering issues. And I remember the Silent Hill 2 trailer looked like it had those. I thought it was fascinating they would put that in a trailer and release it. Okay, so he shoots a couple times and then runs up and does some pipe swinging. Now, when he's taking blows here from the enemy, I think it's kind of weird, first of all, that I don't remember the nurse actually using weapons on you. You know, I think they're a little more feral than that. They would just come at you with their hands or their teeth. But when you're taking damage, it's definitely very visceral looking, and that comes from the camera being over the third person like this, or being over the shoulder in third person like this, as opposed to in Silent Hill 2, the original, it was a lot of mounted cameras and watching you go down a hall, or the camera would come and float behind you and follow you, but it was really far back, and when you took damage, I don't recall any screen shake, so this looks a lot more visceral in that regard. And the combat of Silent Hill was always one of the most, maybe the most criticized element about it. People were always saying, man, this game's great. The combat's weak, but it doesn't matter. You want to play it anyway. And when the series went to Western developers, specifically with Homecoming, I remember them trying to kind of gussy up the combat a bit. And it was similar in concept to what I'm seeing here, but this looks a lot more well done. Picking up a shotgun. So we've seen a 9mm and shotguns, you know. This is a game inspired by a game that was inspired by Resident Evil, so we're seeing the the evolution of the weapons is playing out accordingly. Ooh, the nurse, right before she ate a round of buckshot in the face, her head was doing that Jacob's Ladder shaky thing, and the effect looked effective. It was nice. Not just a filter or like a blur effect that goes over top, which some of the past games have done similar. That looked good. Okay, looks like he's still in a hospital. Still in Brookhaven Hospital. I am happy that it seems like they're going to be mixing up the pace, because I did play a lot of Silent Hill 2 when that HD collection came out, got patched, and then was made backwards compatible. That game gets a lot of hate, or that edition of the game gets a lot of hate. But it's the best you can get without original, you know, PS2 or Xbox hardware. Which I have, but still, I liked getting the achievements in 2 and 3. So because I played that game a bunch, it's going to be nice to have, you know, probably some puzzles mixed up, but also the order of events, like I was saying earlier. Getting a lot of hospital footage here. I don't know if that's the smartest thing to do. It's not showing a lot of variety, but it is looking authentic to me. If you're a fan of this game and you're watching along, you're probably feeling better about it than you were before they showed this. Not speaking for everybody, of course. Okay. I mean, the acting's better. This little girl is like good. Dude, like this little girl, why couldn't they show her in that trailer? Angela did not look good. This girl looks amazing.
There's something I gotta get. It's important. Mary. I hit it.
So we're getting another replaying of a familiar cutscene, and just like the one we saw earlier, framing is different. They have more tools at their disposal. I don't want them to just recreate shot for shot, you know, the entire original game. They can do more. I mean, there's some classic shots that you definitely don't want to lose, like when he goes from one window into the building next door's window, and it's got that camera angle looking up between the walls. It's great. Oh my gosh, this girl looks amazing and creepy. See ya, fart face. That was so unnerving. Straight up an improvement on the original game. The camera placement when she delivered that line. Now, the trailer we saw earlier had an abstract daddy in it. That's sort of Angela's personal monster. This one here that they just showed us a glimpse of, it's kind of like a body within a, I guess it'd be an Iron Maiden, like a cage with spikes on the inside, torture device. When it hangs down from the ceiling, you gotta run around and shoot it. Coming October 8th.
真のサイコロジカルホラーであり、シリーズ最高傑作と称されたサイレントヒル2のストーリーはそのままで、本作ではよりその世界観に没頭できるように
So they're preserving the story but rebuilding the game for an even more immersive and enjoyable experience.
発売日は10月8日です。こちらはプレイステーション5と Steam でリリース
PlayStation 5 and Steam.
また、プレイステーションストアと Steam にて本日から予約の受付を開始しています。これからご紹介する事前予約特典などもご確認いただき、アクセスしてみてください。では、ここからは商品ラインナップのご紹介です。本作のスタンダードラインナップを事前予約していただき
Okay, so we're getting an in-game Mira the Dog mask as a bonus, as well as a Robbie the Rabbit mask. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen more of Robbie the Rabbit. I remember when Silent Hill 3 came out, they were trying real hard to make him like a cute, plushy, adorable, sellable, marketable mascot for the franchise. And I don't think he was in 2, so it's weird that he's a costume or a helmet for 2. Let's see, over 130 pieces of artwork by Masahiro Ito going into an art book. That's cool. Ito-san's pretty badass. Not to be confused with Junji Ito, known for The Grudge. And then, yeah, now they're talking about the soundtrack for Silent Hill 2, which we've known about. They're saying newly created songs and rearranged tracks. So that confirms what I was contemplating earlier, that they've re-recorded all that stuff. So, deluxe edition pre-orders also come, you know, it's all that stuff. You also get the Pyramid Head mask, digital art book, digital soundtrack, the game, and 48-hour early access. I don't know if that's what you want. Still yet to see a price. So if you pre-order the standard edition, you get Robbie and Mira the dog. That's the dog from the secret ending, the little Shiba Inu. All right, we're getting a special message from Bloober.
I'm very excited to continue to play this game. There's no one aspect that I could say that I want people to experience, because I want people to experience all of it. It's such a journey. It's such a big part of our lives, and I just want to see it.
They're excited to let people see it. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I don't think I've seen a developer given a job before that job is finished take so much shit. Even before the thing was even shown, before a piece of concept art was viewed, they were catching lots of shit. Because game fans are ridiculous.
In the remake, the story remains largely the same. However, with the magic of modern technology, we were able to expand on some aspects. The hardest was designing combat. We want to be as faithful as possible.
Talking about designing combat, I just saw a familiar puzzle involving a grandfather clock face. You have to kind of get clues for where to position the clock hands. And they're talking about how, combat, they're saying, was the most challenging part of making the game, which is not surprising because I think this is the first actual combat they've ever designed. Layers of Fear didn't have it, Blair Witch didn't have it. Observer didn't have it. That's a fantastic game. If you've never played Observer, I highly recommend. If you're a fan of things like Blade Runner, it kicks ass. Yeah, they're talking about the fog now. Of course, fog was originally just a way to cover up the technical limitations of the PS1. You know, you're running around town and they can't draw more than a stop sign in front of you. So they've got to have this really thick, dense fog, and that became the identity of the town, really. But now if it doesn't look thick enough, you know, it doesn't have to look real. It's just got to look like Silent Hill fog. If it looks real, then it's not right. It's not right. Now they're talking here about how, you know, James, the character that you play as, James Sunderland, he is not accustomed to fighting. He's not a military guy, essentially, you know. So when he uses firearms and melee weapons, he's not supposed to seem comfortable or completely comfortable with them. And that's interesting because I remember an interview with the voice actor or the mocap actor originally saying that he thought that the character had some military background. And that may have come from him looking at the concept art, because the character has that very military looking jacket that he wears. And maybe he was using that for some sort of like personal motivation, but that is absolutely, I knew at the time, like, oh, that's just not true. Okay, here is our actor, Luke McDonald. So they're showing some mocap sessions, and man, I really like the look of this. It's disappointing that they showed that they focused so much on Angela in the trailer that we saw during the State of Play, because that did not look good. Like her mouth, especially when she was speaking, did not look good. But when we saw that little girl, she looked awesome. And now we're seeing Maria. I think James looks good, and that's not surprising. Usually your protagonist, the facial model, looks a little better because players are going to be looking at it the entire time. But yeah, Laura, the little girl, the little blonde girl, and if you're watching Twin Peaks along with me, that's not a coincidence. She looked awesome when they were showing that demo earlier in the hospital. And now, you know, Maria's actor is on screen, and her face looks good too. So they're talking now about trying to make it look more realistic by capturing their emotions. You know, that's what motion capture is. That's what it's for. Okay, so now they would like to show us a preview of the upcoming film Return to Silent Hill. Let's see if Luke McDonald is playing James Sunderland in this game as well. Okay, Christopher Gans. I recognize his accent. Was he for the first game a masterpiece? Very transgressive piece of art. He's saying that the second game is the most adult of the Silent Hill games, you know, about this man who had lost his wife. And we're seeing some clips here of the movie side by side, the original PlayStation 2 game. And obviously they're going to position the best shots that they have that are like mirror images almost. That is not saying that this is going to be 100% evocative or able to capture what the original Silent Hill 2 was able to capture. But one thing I really loved about the original Silent Hill movie from 2006 is that it felt like a Silent Hill movie. You know, they took a lot of camera angles from particular moments of the game. That the entire first, 20 minutes were just an adaptation of the first 20 minutes of the game. And I appreciated the way it was able to capture that, even though it took some liberties and tried to like really force Sean Bean's character into it just to get him on screen, and made it unnecessarily long and worse as a result. I think if you cut all of the Sean Bean scenes out of the movie, it's probably way better. But it's the same director, and so I have faith that they'll be able to capture that sort of essence. Oh my gosh, we're seeing behind the scenes of the inside. I recognize the inside of the apartment, and that looked so dead on. Oh my gosh, that's exciting to me. Yeah, so I like that they are taking the source content very seriously. This is not going to be a Halo series. Well, another disappointment like that. Looks like they changed his jacket, though. I guess the green cloth not as sellable, not as marketable as a black leather jacket. They're trying to make him look like James from Silent Hill, because he's always been cool. They're talking about how all of the monsters on the film are played by a real person. I remember in the first one, they had some really wild contortionists that they would like stick inside a garbage bag and then just throw a bunch of gore on the garbage bag, and that was your enemy. And, you know, let them walk and let them freak you out by the way these contortionists walk. I like that. I would rather see that than see a blob of cartoon in front of an actor who's seeing nothing. All right, we're seeing Yamaoka-san, the composer, who did 7 of the 8 console games, including, let's see, what was his last one? Origins, Homecoming, I guess? Oh no, Shattered Memories, which is a reimagining of the first game on the Wii. Okay, I got a glimpse there of Maria's actress. She looked very much like Maria. The guy playing James does not look like James. He looks like Jon Snow in a leather jacket. Other than that, though, I really liked what I saw. I am happy to go give this film my money and see it on the big screen. I still remember seeing the original Resident Evil movie in the theater. I must have been like 15 or 16 or something, and I just loved it. And I went back and watched it again, and I was like, man, why did I like this so much? I still love it, but on second viewing, I remember being like, God, this is hokey. There's a pyramid head. I don't know what this is. It looks like a squishy Funko Pop version of a pyramid head from the Good Smile Company. And now they're showing the 1/6 scale coin bank statue. 'Cause everybody needs a piggy bank still. And this has there's a secret ending where it's a joke ending, and all of the Silent Hill games, or almost all of the Silent Hill games, have a joke ending that ends with a UFO. And the ending to this one, you find a secret room in a hotel, and behind the door, there's a Shiba Inu dog with a headset on who's pushing a bunch of levers and buttons and controlling all the things that are ruining James's life. So this is a fun coin bank in the model of that set, with the dog just looking at you. This limited edition coin set here, it's just 3 coins that look like props from the game. That's something that I would buy. I have a set of keys from Resident Evil, the original Spencer Mansion keys. They don't look like the ones from the PlayStation 1 game. They look like replicas of the GameCube remake. I'm actually looking at one right now hanging on the wall in front of me. I love those things. Oh look, we've got a Welcome to Silent Hill sign, a desk pad and coaster set. Looks like the Welcome to Twin Peaks sign, and also a keychain that looks just exactly like the Great Northern keychain from Twin Peaks. Oh, limited edition James jacket. That's going to cost a ridiculous amount of money, but I would wear that. James from the game, not James from the movie, so it's that olive drab green. Looks warm. And they also have a Silent Hill 2 Key Art Shadow Box. I mean, they love their merch. I've run around on the Konami store before, and it's not bad. They have some cool stuff. They tend to sell out a little too fast. I was able to get all of the vinyl records, the soundtracks from the first 4 games, though, later on when Mondo had a big sale. A pretty good price on all that stuff, too. And now they're saying that Silent Hill, the short message, is out and free to play. Only 2.5 million downloads for a free Silent Hill game. Whew. Crazy. I wonder how many downloads PT had. And that was a thing that got delisted kind of quickly. And I don't know this 100%. This is just my gut feeling that the Konami suits said, yeah, we'll do what PT did and emulate that success. Just put out a little short game for free. Everybody will love it. And, man, that thing landed like a bucket of lead paint. Speaking of the short message, they've got a Sakura Head 1/6 scale statue. That is the monster. That's the only monster from that game that really is out there to look at. But it's essentially a person bursting with cherry blossoms. And Ito-san talked about how cherry blossoms were his primary influence for that game. And you can see that influence in a lot of the walls as the walls continually get more and more busy with post-it notes. It has the same kind of feathery effect that a cherry blossom does and that this main enemy does. So it definitely has that kind of reflecting your own internal struggles into your enemies. And are these enemies even real, or are they just a manifestation of your own? That duality there is something I love. Well, those were some exciting offerings, weren't they? I love the very calm, stilted, unexcited. Wasn't that exciting? They said they're almost done for today, but they're going to return to news. Silent Hill 2 is coming October 8th, 2024. I'm probably not going to be able to play this day one, but I'm definitely going to... Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be too far behind. Very happy to have been able to share these new updates for Silent Hill 2 today. So yeah, I thought that that game looked good. I think that it looked a lot better than the last time they showed it. Today, during the State of Play, it looked a lot better, and then what they showed here looked a lot better than that. So they really have they make weird, inconsistent decisions when it comes to presenting this game to audiences. But whatever, you know, the developers making it, it's coming out. You know, by all indicators, it's as good as done at this point. Maybe just some brushing up to do. I hope that it's not one of those situations where the game comes out and needs a bunch of patches to make people happy right out of the gate. You know, some little stuff here and there, you know, buffing out some dirty spots is okay. But if I do end up waiting till Christmas, then that will be less of a concern because they'll have 2.5 months, a little bit more than that, to patch that stuff and get some feedback. Well, that's all. They didn't talk about Silent Hill F or Silent Hill Townfall or anything new. I'm glad I didn't hear about Silent Hill Ascension. I hope they just shoot that thing in the gravel pit and leave it be. But this has been fun. Like I said, I've never done one of these before. I was inspired by Joe and Brian doing the State of Play live react, and then as soon as that was over, Josh dropped his own reaction to the State of Play, and I was like, none of these guys are going to be watching the Silent Hill transmission. I don't think there's a lot of fans in the Discord who are going to be watching it, but if there happens to be somebody who missed it and they're interested in my reactions to it, here it is. I hope you all enjoy. I love you, bye.